We're back with another video discussing visa options for victims of certain types of criminal activity in the United States. This includes U visas, T visas, and VAWA. In this video, we'll dive deeper into VAWA, which stands for Violence Against Women Act. If you're interested in U visas for victims of certain types of qualifying crime, or T visas for victims of severe forms of human trafficking, then check out the other videos linked below. Under VAWA, the abused family members of U.S. citizens or permanent residents may be able to self-petition for their own immigrant classification so that they can reside permanently in the United States. They can do this without the assistance or knowledge of that U.S. citizen or permanent resident abuser. If the abuser is a United States citizen, then you would qualify to petition for yourself if you are the spouse of that U.S. citizen, if you are the child of that U.S. citizen, and the child means that you are unmarried and under the age of 21, or if you are the parent of that U.S. citizen, so long as the U.S. citizen is 21 years of age or older. If the abuser is a lawful permanent resident, then you would be able to self-petition if you are the spouse of that permanent resident or if you are the child of that permanent resident. Again, being the child means that you are unmarried and under the age of 21 years old. In order to self-petition, you have to establish a qualifying relationship. And if you're filing on the basis of a spousal relationship, then you also have to show that you entered into that marriage in good faith. In other words, that you did not enter into it in order to circumvent immigration laws. You also have to be able to establish that you currently reside with the abusive individual or that you resided with in the past. You also have to be able to demonstrate the type of abuse that you suffered, meaning that you were either subjected to battery or to extreme cruelty. Finally, you have to establish that you're a person of good moral character. In other words, immigration is going to look specifically at your criminal history and your immigration history. And if you do have any criminal history, then you need to be able to provide the documentation and explain the situation and how you've been rehabilitated. As a VAWA applicant, you will also be subject to certain grounds of inadmissibility, but it's much narrower than other types of categories. For example, there are certain exemptions that exist for VAWA that don't exist in other categories, and there's also specific waivers that exist for VAWA that do not exist in other categories. Self-petitioning applicants must be able to establish that they are admissible to the United States. That said, there are certain grounds of inadmissibility that just don't apply to VAWA cases. For example, the public charge ground. In addition, there are more liberal waivers that can apply to these cases on the basis of the abuse. So for example, if you may be inadmissible because of unlawful presence in the United States, if you can establish that that unlawful presence is linked to the abuse you suffered, then you may be eligible for a waiver. VAWA residents may reside in the United States or outside of the United States at the time that they apply for these VAWA benefits. If they're outside of the United States, then they're going to undergo consular processing. If they're in the United States, then they're going to undergo adjustment of status to a lawful permanent resident. Even if you, the applicant, entered the United States without inspection, admission, or parole, you would still be able to file for adjustment of status under VAWA regulations. The timing of this is going to depend on whether you are an immediate relative or whether you fall into a preference category. If you, the applicant, are the spouse or child of the abuser, then you qualify to also file for your own children to receive derivative immigration status. And remember that in this situation, children are those that are unmarried and under the age of 21. That's it for VAWA today. If you've got any questions about it, please ask about it in the comments below. And don't forget to check out our other videos discussing additional options for victims of criminal activity in the United States. See you next time.